What is going on, everybody? My name is Tyler, and in today's video we're going to be learning how to create your first blog in Nuxt JS. And we're going to be building this little simple blog. So you can see it's very simple. We have an about page. You can see how fast this is as well. It's lightning fast. It changes super quick. And you can see here we have my first blog post. Welcome to my first blog post using content module, learning Vue JS. So if we click on this, you can see here it's got a blog post and it's just got a bit of text in it. Now this is all Markdown. So if we go back and we go to the other one here, you can see it's all using Markdown to write all this stuff, which is awesome. It's using something called the Nuxt Content API, or not API, module. But yeah, so if you click on Get Started, you can see here different ways to start your project. Create Nuxt app is a good one. npx is the way I do it, which is npx, or you can install it, but you'd have to obviously install the Nuxt app development module as well. The best thing about it is it's automatic routes. You put a .vue file underneath pages and it will automatically add it to your routes, so you're able to navigate using stuff such as Nuxt link to about, and that would search for an about.vue page inside of your route. Okay, everyone, so as you can see, we now have tutorial projects. We're in a directory called tutorial projects. Now in here, we're going to run npx. You obviously have to have node/npm installed to run this, but you go run npx create Nuxt app, just like create React app or create Vue app, stuff like that. It's create Nuxt app, which is great. Now we give our project a name. So I'm going to say my first blog. I'm going to hit enter, and this is going to start creating our blog. So once it starts loading a little bit, we get some stuff, project name. So we're just going to say my first blog. I'm not sure if this has to be friendly. It just say project name. So maybe we should just, if we write nothing, I'm pretty sure if we write nothing, it will use the default one. We're just going to say my first blog. Hit enter, and we're going to choose a programming language. I'm going to use JavaScript. I'm going to use a package manager, npm. Now you can choose to use any of these. For this one I'm going to use none, but in the future we're going to be using Tailwind CSS and maybe some of the other ones if you want to see them. So let's hit none. I'm going to choose to use content. Now this is a module called content. You can also choose these two as you like, but I won't be using them in this video. And content is how we use Markdown and other things inside of our project. So let's hit enter. Let's hit ESLint, enter, and I'm just going to click none. And for this one, you can choose either or, but I'm going to use server-side rendering, universal server-side rendering, or you could do a single page app if you want to, but I think SSR is a lot better for SEO and stuff as well. And now we can choose whether we want a deployment target server or static. I'm going to choose static for now. And then I'm going to just select the recommended here. JS config, what is your GitHub name? Just say Tyler Potts. Def, hit enter. First control, we're not going to use, we'll use Git, because then I can post it to GitHub later for you guys. It will be in the description of this video. And then it's going to start installing, so I'll see you once that has done. Okay guys, so you can see it's now finished, and here we have to get started and to build and start for production. So if you're building for production, obviously you're going to run the second one, but we're just doing development for now. So let's get started. So we're going to cd into my first blog. Then we're going to open this up into code, and then we're going to npm run development. So as you can see here, all I'm doing is concatenating these terminal commands and hitting enter, and now this is going to open it up and start the development server at the same time. So let's drop this in here, and as you can see, it's going to start the development server. So let's go in here and let's start showing you what's happening here. So as you can see, we have a lot of things in here. Now the main thing you need to look at is pages. This is where all our pages, so index obviously is going to be the root file. But we've also got middleware. We won't be needing middleware for this, so we can actually just delete this if we're not going to use it. We've got layouts, which is going to be our default layout. So everything we write inside of our pages gets rendered into this Nuxt JS file here. So we could actually, let's say if you have a nav bar that you want to show on every single page, you would put that inside of your layout. Then we've got content. So what content is our Markdown area. So this is where we can do our posts. We can even do pages from our Markdown if we wanted to. But I'm going to show you how to do blog posts with the content using Markdown. So you write all your blog posts in here. You can pull these from anywhere as well. You can pull them from Git or whatever, but for now we're just going to pull it from here. And you've also got some options. You can give some like custom data you can pull through into a template. We've got components. Now this is where we keep our Vue components. So pages are just components, but they are added to the routing of the app, whereas components are just things you can import or use in other pages or other components. So that's obviously just how normal components work, and pages are more added to the routing. Plugins, again, we're not going to need plugins, but you can add some if you want. Static, this is where we put all our static files. If you want any images that are always going to be around and stuff like that, you can put it in there. You can also put them in assets where you can keep other images and stuff. One thing we are going to do is create a resources folder in here where we're going to put our blog images. So I'm actually going to copy those over and drop them in over here. So you can see we've got our dog 1 and our dog 2. And as you can see that in our resources. So now we can import these later on. These images will be in the Git repository for when you download this, so you don't need to worry if you want those, or you can put your own in here. It's up to you. And then store. This is going to be a Vuex store. We're not going to use this for this tutorial, but again, it's just worth knowing that your store is in there. So let's just delete that for now. There we go. So we've got our config, and this is where you give our title. So this will be your heading title, your metadata, some links if you want to include external CSS fonts or anything like that. Oh, wait, no, CSS is in this one, sorry. Links are just links to other things as well. Plugins, if you're using any Nuxt plugins. Components, it auto import components. So if you create components inside components, this means you don't have to do an @import. This will automatically do it for you, which is awesome. And as you can see, the most important one is our modules. Now inside modules, we have this Nuxt content, and that's what we're going to be using to write our blog posts. So there's more on this on the internet. I'll try and leave the link in the description, but you can go to right here to go straight to it as well if you want to read it there. Awesome, so we've got all this, we've got everything else. We're going to skip these parts now, and now let's get on with the rest of this tutorial. So the first thing we're going to do is, well, I'm going to show you what it looks like. So this is rendered here, so I can copy this. We can head over to our web browser. Oh, it's already in. And there you go, we've got my first blog, and you can see it here. We've got logo imported and stuff like that. Now if we go back, you can see in Vue here, we can put in here, let's say, test. Save, go back, and you can see test appears in the top corner. That's going to be on every single page because we've done it there. So let's say we create a new page quickly. Let's create a new page called about.vue. Now inside of about, we can say something such like, well, we need to create our Vue template first. And we can just go in here and just say .about page, and we can just say h1 about page, save. Now, if we go back to our thing here and or our default template, and we can just say h2 test, just so we can see it a bit clearer, and we go back. So you can see on this home page we have test. Obviously, to get to the about page, all you have to do is put /about, because we have a page called .vue, so it's automatically going to add this to the routing. So we can say about. And there you go, we've got our test page, which is always on every single page, and we've got our about page. So this would probably be where your nav bar is or something like that. And let's just remove that for now. So you can see that works really well. So if we go back now, it's just about page. If we remove that, we go back to our home page. Now we can link, so let's go back to our index. You can see we've got a button here, which says A, and it gives you a href. Let's remove both of these. You can use something called Nuxt-link. And you can say to, and let's just say about. Hit save, go back, refresh. You can see we get the about. If we click there, it takes us to the about page. So that basically allows us to navigate our website, which is perfect. We don't need this yet. So let's just remove this. Oh, let's remove that. And let's also remove all of this. Let's remove everything. Remove this, even the container. We're going to remove all the styling. And there you go. So that is that all gone. So we've just left with a default page, which means we're going to have a blank page. So let's go to our layouts and, well, click on default. And let's also remove a lot of things from here too. It's a lot of styling here, which we just don't need. So let's remove that. And in here, we're going to keep our Nuxt, but we're going to create a header component. But first, let's create some global styles. So these styles in here are going to be what we use everywhere. So let's create a margin 0, padding 0. We're going to do a box sizing of border box. We're then going to do a font family of just sans serif. I don't really care what the font is for this tutorial, but you can add whichever font you want. Let's give the body a background color of EE by default, just so it's not white. Let's give it a text decoration of none, so we have no styling in our links. A P with the margin bottom of 15 pixels, and the P of last of type of margin bottom 0 pixels. Save. There you go. That's all the styling we need across the whole website, and then we'll do the rest of our stuff in components. So we don't need this logo anymore. Let's just delete it. Bam, it's gone. Let's add a new file though, and we're going to call this header.vue. Now, if we go into our default again, sorry, I confused for these open, let's just close those. We can actually just straight up write header. We don't need to import it. We don't need to do anything else. We just call header. Now let's create our Vue templating here. So you see I just type Vue and enter and it gives me all the Vue templating. That's down to a plugin called Futer or Feature, I don't know how you pronounce it. This one here by Pinewoo, you can go install it and it allows you to use some keys. It's basically IntelliSense. It has all this. You can see it here. So yeah, go get that if you want to do some Vue development. I highly recommend it. Let's move that. So we've got our template in our header. So let's actually start writing stuff in it. So we want to create header. And now in here we want a title, which we're going to call my blog. You can write whatever you want in there. We're going to create a navbar, which is going to have a Nuxt link, which says home. We're then going to copy this and we're going to have a Nuxt link that says about. So we're just going to write to. You can also have a separate blog page as well if you wanted to, so it's not on the home page. We're going to do our blog posts on the home page because it's a full blog website. But you could also just you could also just have a blog page as well. So if you want a separate blog page, you create a new page and do what we do in the home page in that page, if that makes sense. So as you can see here, this is all we need for our header component. So if we go back to the web, you can see we've got it here. But let's style it up a little. So I'm not going to style it. I'm just going to remove the script tag as well. I'm just going to drop in the style here, and here you go. This will be in the Git repo, but you can style it however you want. Let's go back, and there you go. We've got our blog and our buttons. So let's head over to our main page. So go back here. Let's go. We no longer need the default. That is all we needed for the default. So let's delete that. And we no longer need the header. So let's delete that. Or close it. Don't delete it. Sorry, my bad. Bad wording. So let's just close these. And now in pages, we've got index. So we've got nothing in the index page. So it means nothing's actually going to render right now. So what we want to do is we want to add something. So I'm going to wrap this in a home page item. And then inside of here, I'm going to have H2, which says latest posts. Save, and if we go back, we refresh, you see we get latest posts. Now we actually want to get our posts, but we can't get our posts because we actually have none. So inside of content, you can see we only have hello, and this isn't what we're going to use. So let's delete that. Let's create a new layout called new file, and let's call this, we need to actually create a directory called blog, and then we need to say hello, or no, first-post.md will do for this one. There you go. So this is going to be our first post. Now, we can add in content such as hashtag my first blog post. And let's remove the capital from first. And then we could just write in anything here. So I'm just going to copy some lorem ipsum over with a little bit extra. There you go. So we've got this little bit of content here. That's great. Now, how do we get to that? So most people would think, obviously, it's in content. So we can say blog / my first. No, it's called first post. Sorry, first post. But look, that's cannot be found because it's not actually added to our pages, is it? It's in blog content. So how we render this is by creating a new folder, calling it blog. And then inside of this, we're going to create a _slug.vue. Now how this is going to work is we're going to basically run Vue again, create that, and then in here we're going to say article, and we're going to pass Nuxt-content. It's actually a one-piece component, Nuxt content, and then we're going to pass through document, and we're going to pass through an article. Obviously, we don't have the article here yet, so I'm just going to copy the styling over for this as well. So this is going to be our actual blog template, so our blog post template. So you could add default stuff in here, let's say a title or whatever you want. In here, maybe a header image or something. In here, it's a default thing, but for now, we're just not going to add anything. So in our export, we're going to actually use something called async data. So we're going to write async, and then we're going to write async data as a method. And we're going to pass through two things. We're going to pass through content. Now, this is the most key point about this whole thing. Content is where we get all our content information, such as blogs and posts and stuff like that. Then params are any params we pass through. So now we're going to create const article is equal to await. Now this is where we do a fetch command on content, $content. We're going to pass through the name of the folder, which is blog. And then we're going to say params.slug.fetch. So, and then we've just got to return in an array, or not an array, in an object, our article. So what's happening here? It might be a bit confusing. So what we've done, we're using async data. We're getting a promise, and we're gonna wait until it's resolved from the content. So we're looking inside of our content directory, which is this. We're searching for the blog directory, and then we're looking what the param slug is. So what the params are is, let's say after here we can say our blog name. So if we say blog, and then first hyphen post, you can see there it is. So that's what we're grabbing. We're grabbing that. We could also put a specific one in here if we want it to be specific, but we can actually use parameters to get dynamic data. And then we fetch that data. So we fetch the information from this post, and we store it inside article. Then we pass the article to our Nuxt content, which is here, which passes it through and it displays it on screen. Now, Nuxt content is a part of the content module, and that's how it renders it out. It renders the document what you pass through. You can also use CSVs and other stuff, XML and stuff to render in there, but for now we're just using Markdown. So you can see here, it looks pretty good. We've got our styling in there, article, and our font, and I think that works well. There you go. So that's how you get one blog post. But how do we list them all? Because at the minute, if we go back home, you can see we just don't have any, so we can't actually navigate there. So let's go and list them all inside of our post. So if we go to index, oh, we're here, my bad. And now let's create an articles area, and we're going to pass through all our articles in here. First, we need to actually run an export default. We're going to say async again. We're going to say async data like we did before. So async data just allows us to get a promise or promise data or async data instead of just grabbing normal data, because we need to do a fetch, else we'd have to, it might not wait for, if we just use normal data, it won't wait for it to come through, if that makes sense. So we need to get our const articles this time. We're going to say await. We're going to do the same thing as before. We're going to say content, and this time we're going to say blog. And the post from our blog, we're going to say params.slug, so we're going to grab the one from the slug. But this one we're going to say dot only, and then we can pass through some parameters in here, so we can only pull through some certain parameters or data. But for now, we're not going to do that. I'll show you that in a second. We're going to say sort by. We get some default information, so created at, and we can choose which way it comes through, and we can say fetch. So what's happening here is we're saying sort by, so we're going to sort it by created, so it's going to show which one is the latest post, and it's going to display it first using the async. We could do descending as well, or ascending, and ascending will get us it in order. We're going to fetch, and then in here we're just going to return articles. So this should actually get all the articles. Oh, there we go. So it's going to fetch all our articles. Now you might be wondering, but this is just getting the slug again. So it's just going to get the one slug we look for. But that's not the case. This instead will grab everything. So yeah, that's what that's doing. So let's now up here in articles run a .article, a singular article, and we're going to use a v4 directive to loop through the article of articles. So get all the articles in articles, and we're going to pass through a key, which would be we're just going to pass through the article as the key for now, but normally you would obviously pass through something unique to it. So we'll show you how to do that soon. I'm then going to give it a Nuxt link. Let's just close this side so it's a bit more legible. And this is going to be to, and then it's going to be linking to our thing, but we don't know what it's coming from or how we actually link it there. So to do that, inside we need to actually add something to our post. So we need to pull some data through. So you can see we've just got a Nuxt link. We're just trying to go to 2, but we don't actually know what this article has. It doesn't actually give us anything. It gives us a path, but the path won't link directly to we want to use the slug to actually find this post. So let's go to our post. Now up here, we can actually pass through, if we use 3 hyphens, we can actually pass through some data we can pull through on the post. So the first one we're going to look for is the title, which would be my first blog post. Well, then we can actually give it a description, which will be welcome to my first blog post using content module, using the content module. We're then going to give it a slug. Now, this is how we're going to be able to render it. So we're just going to say first post. Basically, this slug will be the name of the file, which is first post. Then we can actually pass through an image as well. So we just need these slugs. So we know where we're storing them. We're storing them all in resources blog-1. So we need to just say blog-1.jpg. And that's the image we're going to use as our featured image. So let's save. And now inside of our export function here, we can say dot only, and only takes an array. And inside this array, we just give the items we want. We want the title, we want the description, we want the image, and we also want the slug. And this is how we're going to get this. We're actually going to go in here and say, we need to bind this because we want to pass data. And we just want to say to, and then we're going to give the name. And the name is just going to be the slug, right? Then we want to pass through our params, which is going to say slug, and the article we want, which article.slug. It might be a bit confusing, but you'll get used to what this means in a second. So we're just passing through the name, which is slug, which is what we're looking for, and then we're passing through the params of slug. So the name is what we're looking for in terms of file. So now in Nuxt, we're just going to say image, and we're actually going to have to bind the source again. And this is going to say require. So we're actually going to require something. And what we're going to require is we're going to use backticks here. And we're going to say tilde, assets, resources. And then we're going to pass through the article.image name. So that way we're going to our assets, our resources, and checking out which image we need to render here. And that's why we're requiring it, because now we get it through there. So we're pulling this straight through. So we've got the image. Now we need to create some detail. So we'll give the post detail. We need a h3. And inside here, we're going to use the template strings to say article.title to pull through the title of the article. So what we passed through here into here. We're then going to get the description. So we're going to say p. And we're just going to say article.description. And that way we're going to actually pull through the description we wrote here onto the first page. So this gives a short description for us. And that is all we needed to write here. But we do need to actually wrap this in an article inner, just for styling. There you go. Oh, one more. One too many. You have not gone enough. There we go. So we've passed that all through. Now, this isn't going to look great. So if we go to our home page and refresh, you can see what it looks like. It's huge, but if we click on this giant image, it could not be found. Back to home page. And the reason for that is, so we gave content, blog, description. Oh no, it's here we're looking for, isn't it? It's looking for name slug. Oh, sorry. I actually need to say blog hyphen. So we need to actually give it a path here. So you see here we've got blog and then slug. So what we're doing here is we're saying blog. That's the directory, like here, kind of like that, blog hyphen slush. But instead of a slash, we're doing a hyphen slug. And that's where we're getting this here. Sorry, my bad. So now let's save, go back, refresh. And as you click it, you can see it now gives it blog first post. Now we can actually pull this slug out. So if we remove this blog slug and just write slug, we can actually pull this slug and drop it into pages, move, and we can delete the blog category there, save, go back, refresh, and now if we click it, you can see it just goes there and straight to the post name, my first blog. And there you go. So we'll leave it like that for now. So now we can go to our blog directly without having to go through the blog stuff. So we don't need the directory, but it can make it easier to read if you are creating a separate blog page. But for now, as you can see, we've got all this, which is nice. And everything's working, everything seems to be pulling through, but we need to style it. So I'm just going to drop in the styles. I have, hello, cancel, please don't do that. I'm going to drop in these styles over here. So let's go down here just so it looks nice. Again, all this styling will be in the Git repo if you want to check it out. I'm not going to go over it in this video because it's all about making a blog using Nuxt and not the styling of the blog. And as you can see here, we've got this nice little post now. So that looks really cool. If we go to our about page, we haven't actually wrote anything in our about page, but you can see the point. You can add content in here and what you want in there as well. And then we got our latest posts right here, and you can click into my blog and you've got your blog. We can go home. Now that is basically everything to it, but let's create another blog post just so you can see it working with as many as you add. So let's just remove this and let's collapse that. And now inside blog, let's create a new file and call it second-post.md. Now we need the same stuff at the top here because we're using it, so we're going to need all this. So we're just going to say my second blog post, welcome to my second post. Slug is going to be second post, and then blog is going to be image 2. Now we can add content in here, and I'm actually just going to copy a big chunk of content from something I wrote the other day. And as you can see here, we're using a lot more. We don't need that. You can see I'm pulling through a lot of things with H1 of mastering Vue and all this. So you've got a lot of different options here, and a list over here, and loads of other stuff. So let's just save. Let's go back. Undefined. What's undefined? What did I do? I don't know what I did. I think I may have saved too early when I did so. There you go. So we've added a new blog post, and there you go. We've got our second blog post. Also, do you guys like these images? I really like them. Awesome. Go on from unsplash.com if you're wondering. You can head over there and check it out. But yeah, so my first blog, and then we've got our second blog post, and we click on this. You can see we've got all this stuff. We've even got the styling here, the code blocks here. Okay, so that's our second post. You can see we've got a lot of different elements in there. And we go home, about, and there you go. So that's your first blog. Now you can add a lot more to this. There's a lot more styling, a lot better things. Obviously, if you spend a bit more time on the code and stuff, you can actually build a massive, beautiful blog. You could even, in one of these, you could have a next blog post and a previous blog post. You could even show the latest blog post or relevant blog post if you're feeling great. You could add tags to this. So using the, so if we were in here, we could just say like tags and just have a list of tags. Say tag 1. Tag 2, tag 3, and then you can use those in search, and you can use those while you're searching. So you can actually add a search box up here and search from, but we're not going to go that in depth today, guys. I hope you learn. I don't want to give you too much overwhelming information. For now, I just want to give you short and sweet, simple tutorial where you can take it to the next level. Now, if you want to see the more advanced stuff, please let me know because it's something I'm looking to do. And I'm going to be releasing a lot more advanced stuff on Nuxt JS in the future, but this is just the first Nuxt project we've done. I think we did a basic one a long time ago, but this is the first blog post we've done in Nuxt JS using the content module, which is absolutely awesome. So I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. If you did, don't forget to leave a smashing thumbs up, leave some comments below, share it to all your friends, smash that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Thanks for watching, and peace out.